Well, students, we're going to keep working on these Pysanky egg designs. Most of us still need to finish tracing our lines and coloring our shapes. So I would like you to pick a color. I only have one left just to make this example go quicker. Please make sure that you pick a color, trace around it. Remember that if you need to, turn the paper and then trace it a little bit. Turn the paper and trace it a little bit. That sometimes is helpful to get that color pressed on hard. Once you outline it, then I do want you to be thinking, if it's a line, I'm going to trace it. If it's a shape, I'm going to color it. So here, I'm going to pick some colors. I'm going to do, I think, some orange on this line. And I'm just going to make both sides the same. And orange is next to yellow on the color wheel. So I'm going to put yellow on this side of the line. And then we'll do that on this side. And then let's take a little bit of blue. Try to hold the crayon down low so that it doesn't break. Blue is next to purple. Color wheel, so we'll trace that in. Some of these do make some shapes, so it's up to you if you do want to take some of this and turn it into, like if I did want to color that in, you may. Then I'm going to add some color to this line. And this one. I do really just want you to be creative, imaginary, using your imagination with using line and shape and color and pattern. So I've had students say, well, these look like shapes to me, should I color them? I'm gonna leave that up to you. Some of these are just lines, it depends on how much you wanna paint. I want to paint some of this, so I'm gonna do this part since that looks like a shape. And then I'm gonna do a pattern of color paint. Then this one's gonna be color. And then I'm gonna do paint. Just remember not to color the whole thing, because if you color the whole egg shape in, you won't have anything to paint. Now we're gonna call this good. All of these lines are traced. Yep, all those shapes are colored. Lines are traced, shapes are colored. When that is done, then I will bring over some paint for you. We'll move this and change it to that. And I'm gonna start painting. Now these paints are pretty new, so I do want you to be responsible with them. Please do not splash your brush or bang it. Dip it in, wipe it off. Now, when I start painting this, I don't want this paint filling up with water. So here I'm gonna make sure my brush is in a point, and then I'm gonna start painting in some of these shapes. If you listen to my brush, you should not be able to hear it. If you run out of paint, then get a little more paint. I've also had this happen before where a student just paints the whole thing one color. Well, there's a lot of shapes and a lot of designs on here. So I'm gonna use some blue because I had those two matching, but then I'm gonna stick with blue for a little bit to do all the areas that I want to be blue. But then I'm gonna rinse off my brush and use some other colors. I don't want this whole thing to just be the same. So here, I think that's enough blue for that one. Now I'm gonna pick another color. So let's rinse off my brush. wipe it off. And let's switch to, I think some orange would look good in the middle of this egg. I love all these really bright colors, so we'll use that. Rinse that, get a little more paint. I'm not gonna rinse it off right now because I wanna make sure to use orange wherever I want there to be orange. Now, this is another good example using the color wheel here. I'm gonna do this side of that line with orange, but I don't want my orange to touch the blue because if it does, then it would make, the orange and blue don't mix well. They would make kind of a brownish color. So orange though will go well with yellow, so I'm gonna rinse off my brush. And if this yellow were to touch the orange a little bit, it would just make it a yellow-orange color. So that's one of the reasons that I'm making choices the way that I'm making them. So the color wheel will be up to help you with the color choices you're doing. And then I think we'll do a little bit of red to maybe match that red on my the crayon line that I used. So I just heard my brush, so I need to be a little more gentle. And this red looks a little bit like a reddish pink, okay? I'm not gonna paint a bunch more right now because I want you guys to have enough time to do a bunch yourself, but I want to emphasize that if it's a new shape, it's a new color. So that's why I didn't do blue, 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 blue. New shape, new color. One thing that I'm not painting today, I am not going to paint this space around it. I'm going to talk to you about color mixing in those spaces. So once I'm done doing these oval shapes and this egg, then I'm gonna move on and I'll work on my next one. I'm not painting the background space. So new shape, new color. Please make sure that with this new paint, we're being responsible with it. Rinse off your brush. This should stay nice. It should still look like new. There shouldn't be paint all over the black or paint all mixed in the paint palette. Always rinse your brush and make sure that you're gentle with your brush. You shouldn't have a scratchy brush sound either. So let's have fun working on these.